On this episode of Nugget Project, I'm going to tell you why it takes so long to build a project car. And it's got something to do with this. So if you're like me, you probably watch a lot of car YouTubers. There's billions of them out there, and I'm one of the low tier ones. What a lot of them don't show you is why it takes so damn long to build something like this. I mean, most of them aren't dumb enough to build something like this because this was an absolute rust bucket. But there's so many 1%ers that take forever when you're building a car at home, not on YouTube. But the YouTubers usually don't show that stuff. Today I'm going to show you a little bit of that stuff of why this all takes so freaking long. There's little bits you decide, I just need to fix that, fix that, fix that. And there's like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And all of a sudden you've spent 100 hours on pretty much what looks like nothing. So you finish up a month of work on the car and it looks exactly like this again, but there's all those little bits that are now fixed. So today we are going to do a blitz on fixing a lot of the little things before we get this thing ready for paint. So I can't just paint it how it is, I want to get it super ready. Before that, I'm going to show you something super duper exciting. Now this is kind of a little premature because we're not ready to use it yet, but it's just cool. Check this out. Haltech Elite 1500 and a wideband controller. Very cool. For those of you who don't know, this is an ECU to run the car, and Haltech is an Australian brand. You've probably seen them on pretty much every YouTube channel around the world, you know, like MCM use them, Skid Factory, old mate over in Stance Works doing his K24 Ferrari build. He uses all the Haltech stuff. Pretty cool stuff, and it's very cool that it is Australian made because that's great. I love Australian made stuff. So the reason I got that is my mate Luke, who works at Shockworks and RS Performance, he is building a time attack car for a racer called Midgie. Midgie is coming over from Korea, and this is Luke's Civic. So he's basically giving the seat up so Midgie can go and race that World Time Attack in Sydney, which is very cool. So this is his car. It's got a K24 naturally aspirated engine in it. It will have a turbo in it. And Haltech was so excited with Midgie coming over and racing the car and Luke preparing it for her that they gave him a full Haltech suite. So he's got one of the new Nexus ECUs, he's got new wideband controls, he's got all the stuff in this car, and it's all now wired in and it runs great. It's actually up in Sydney being tuned at the moment. Very cool setup. He's also got the IC7 dash, all that sort of stuff. Very cool. So due to Haltech's generosity of giving him all this stuff, he's paying that forward and he's given me his whole Haltech Elite 1500 that did run his car. So this will be able to run our MR2. I am going to get the car registered with the stock ECU that'll come with the new engine, just because it's easier. I don't think I need to explain that to a lot of you. But once it's on the road, we will be putting this bad boy in, and I have spoken to Zane at Max Performance, told him what I'm doing, and he's like, yeah, that sounds cool. Zane loves wacky cars. He's got all sorts of fun stuff. So I think if I bring this thing down to him with the new engine and all that, he's going to be pretty excited to plug into this, and he's a great tuner. So hopefully he'll plug into this and we can do all sorts of stuff. We're going to buy a cam pad for it so we can do launch control, all that sort of stuff, which would be really fun. So that's very exciting. So thank you, Luke. You are an absolute legend, and I am going to pay that love forward to someone else, not with an ECU, but some other way to somebody else. Anyway, let's get stuck into this car. Let's blitz through this stuff. Where do we start? Okay, let me show you an example of a 1%er. So this is obviously a sunroof car and it has this little diffuser. So when you open the sunroof, this pops up and stops the wind coming in the car and buffeting and sounding horrible. It has these two little spring-loaded clips here that pop that thing up. Now that one's fine. This one, as you can see here, it has two little arms and one of the arms is rusty. Now the problem is I'm pretty confident this is all assembled in the factory, and then this whole assembly is spot welded onto the car. So I pretty much have to either unspot weld this whole thing and take it off, or I have to drill this pin out. It's going to be a hassle, and then I have to try and recreate it. I am tempted to send a message to our friend Neil in Wales and see if he can take one of these off of one of his scrap cars in his paddock and send me one, because if he can send me a good one of these, that would save me a lot of hassle. If not, I'm going to have to pull this apart and try and remake the entire thing, which is going to be a hell of a headache. But this is one of those 1%ers. You're not going to notice this in the final build. Hell, you can't even see that. It's underneath this little diffuser. But this is something that is probably going to take me a good 3 hours to recreate, if not longer. And this is why project cars take so long. Okay, so as I mentioned, I have a broken stud in this spoiler, which really sucks. So I'm going to try to get the stud out and we'll just put a new one in, but it's a fair chance it's all going to go to shit and I'm just going to have to drill it all out and epoxy in a new thread or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's get the drill and see if we can get this sucker out. All right, I don't have any studs small enough, but I do have a bolt. So I think I'm going to drill, tap that, we'll put that bolt in, and then I'll cut the bolt off, clean up the head, and that'll work as a stud. You're not going to see it, it's going to be inside the boot lining, so hell, let's do that. The reason I put the nut on there is it cleans up the thread on the way out. Give that a bit of a linish on top, put the nut off, stud done. Perfect. So there we go, there's a new stud slash bolt in our spoiler. Honestly, I've made it a bit longer, no one's gonna see it, so it's fine. Let's test fit it, hey? Move all this stuff. Perfect. There we go. Perfect. I probably could trim that back a little bit, but it's not going to affect the boot closing at all. And there we go. Spoiler problem solved. So once again, it's these little 1%ers that take up a lot of time. That actually wasn't bad. What, 15 minutes, 20 minutes? Cool. So I can pretty much tick that off as done. However, I do need to take this boot off and fix this rust here. So we may as well take the spoiler off, take the boot lid off, and we'll have a look at that rust. All right, I'm going to rust repair that boot when I do everything else. So I need to rust repair the bonnet, the boot, and there's a little bit of welding I need to do in the rear guard, so I'm going to do all the welding at one time. Next thing I want to do is remove this badge, because obviously I need to paint the bonnet. This will be interesting. I've got a new badge, obviously, which will go on. And it's got the 3 little studs. Now, I've used fishing wire on these before, but I've got a funky little tool that I got with my windscreen removal kit. So let's give that a go. So this is a blade for cutting sealant out of windscreens. It's got a little blade, but you can put it down flat and pull on it to try and remove stuff. So this is stuff. Oh, okay. Oh, that did not put up a fight at all. Okay, I was expecting that to be way more dramatic. It just popped off. Yeah. Okay, literally just pushed on with 3 holes. I think when I put my new one on, I will use a little bit of double-sided tape too. Make sure it stays in there. That badge is old and shagged, but I'm going to keep it for posterity. It's pretty cool. And this is my new one that'll be going on. How pretty is that? Won't push it on, but there you go. A lot of the MR2 guys are really funny about these badges because these ones are like a plastic one, whereas the other ones have got like a metal emblem, but they're really hard to get. I honestly think that looks great, so I'm really not that fussed. I don't care that much about OG original stuff. Okay, so speaking of 1%ers, I've been buying up some new bolts for this car. This Very cool little dress-up washers that I love. So the little aluminium countersunk washers. You can see those. Bring it closer to the camera if the camera will focus. They're little countersunk washers. And then using these bolts, which I have in two different sizes, I've got 30mm and 20mm. They sit in there and they just look really nice for doing stuff like the guards on the inside of the bonnet and things like that. Things where you can see exposed bolts, just make them a little bit of sexy with these. So I think they look really nice. These are stainless hardware, and then those alloy little bucket washers, which look really nice. And for holding the lip on, I've got these big M10 suckers. I'll get one out for you. So these big buggers, and I have got the same sort of washers, but 30mm big surface area ones for holding that fiberglass front lip on. So it's a nice big surface area, there's no stress on it, and that'll work really nicely for that. So I've got a bunch of those coming and I can do them along the bottom of the fiberglass. Should work pretty well. It's the little things. So something I do need to do, which we looked at in the last video, was these bonnet struts. Work great, but these brackets are god awful. So I want to redesign one that completely goes down to the second bolt as well and is nice and strong and just doesn't look like trash. So I will have to use, probably gonna have to cut the old one up and reuse that and figure out a way to do it. So I'm gonna get some cardboard, we'll make up a template, see what I can come up with. Okay, so I reckon the best place for this is right here. Screw it. I'm just going to weld these on. Can always cut them off again if I need to. Go. Cool. All right. Let's get this bonnet off, weld it up properly. Bar's gonna kill me. All right, wait for some pachangs. Ha! Shuts and fits in there well. Let's do the other side and I'll take both the hinges off, give them a good clean up and a spray. Cool, so I've done the other hinge now and I've just sprayed it with some etch primer. We'll let that dry, then we'll do a nice coat of black. I will paint these hinges body color, so when we do the whole paint, I'll take these off and spray them as well, the same color as the body, because it'll look better. But they've come up pretty good. I'll get you a shot once they're bolted back on and the bonnet's back on. You can see how they look compared to the old one. Obviously it's a little bit chunky with some welds, but so much better than that old crappy bracket. Right, now I need to tackle the back left wheel arch just because there's stuff in there I'm not happy about and I never really finished when I did a rust repair. We'll move to GoPro for that one and I'll just show you what I need to do and then I'm just gonna do it and show you the end result. So we're in the passenger rear wheel arch. You can see here it's all a bit funky. So this is one of the repairs I did. I did a whole patch here and I left this long so I could figure out where I needed to put the attachment for our mud flap. So mud flap sits, oh, I just found these by the way, that's why I hadn't marked it up yet. This mud flap sits there, so now I was way off too, you can see where my mark was. So I can mark up then, I can cut all this back. But you can also see there, you can see my finger through, that is not big enough. So this part of the repair was from an old owner. Did an okay job, but I'm not super stoked on it. So that's obviously the hole they screwed that into, but I'm not stoked on this. So I will weld a plate here, we'll drill that out properly and make a proper insert for both of these, trim it all back. And then underneath you can see here where a bit of my fillers popped out. That is where the bottom hole for that goes. So I think what I'll do is I'll make sure that lines up, I'll drill that and I'll put a nutsert in there and that gives us somewhere good to bolt that mud flap up to. And yes, I'm gonna run a mud flap because they look good on these cars. Just completes the back a bit and also hides some of our sins back here from welding. Cool. How good does that liner look from doing that sound deadening? So sick. Okay, as time lapse this puppy, I'm going to fix all this up. Also, little spots here where I didn't fix rust properly and up here I don't like it. I'm going to fix it now. Alrighty, there we go. Got rid of all that rust, welded it all through, just needs spray. And I've welded on that second tab, so it's going to drill some holes now. I'm still going to decide whether I'm going to put, I might even put nutserts in here too. Just use some nice bolts to bolt those mud flaps on to save using screws. I'll see how the other side lines up. Okay, we are cooking along today, getting a lot done, which is good, and all those little 1%ers. So that wheel arch is now done. I've just got to drill the holes. I'll just see on the other side. Maybe I'll do some nutserts, I don't know. The hinges are drying. I'm just doing coats of paint, but once again, it's winter, so it's pretty cold. So I'm using the heat gun and letting them dry before we bolt them on. But something just arrived in the mail. I've been having a bit of trouble sleeping at the moment. I don't know why. Keep waking up about 3 a.m. 3 a.m. seems to be an opportune time to do online purchases. That's a lie, it's a terrible time to do online purchases. But I did want one of these and I found this cheap online. Oh, yeah. So in this and this is a stand for doing painting bonnets and boots and stuff like that, but also handy for welding up rust because I don't want to do it on the ground. So I can set up this stand and we can do it now. So this is rocked up at a very good time. Let's pop this puppy together and see what it looks like. Cool, so that's pretty good. So I've been wanting one of these, obviously, like for working on this bonnet right now, and it's perfect. I sit it on there, gives me a workspace. I don't really have a big workbench here. Also for painting, I'll definitely need this to paint panels and stuff on, so I'll probably need a couple more to be honest. But this is good. I looked at them in Autobarn and Super Cheap and all that sort of stuff, and they were between sort of 60 and 70 or more bucks, and it's a bit of cash at the moment. But yes, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I found this one for 50 bucks and they were doing a flash sale and I think I got it for $42 delivered. So that's pretty good. I should have bought a couple of them, but funds are a bit low and I'm trying to buy this donor car. But anyway, that's cool. So we can use that now to work on our boot and bonnet. So we might work on the boot now. We'll put another coat of paint on our hinges. We will get them on before the end of the episode, but let's get the rust fixed in this boot. Okie dokie, I'll get a grinder, we'll strip all this back and see what's bad. I think, fingers crossed, it is just this piece here that needs replacing. I think the bits around the hinges is just a bit of surface rust. If that's the case, I will be stoked. Oh man, it's looking pretty good. Less rust repairs, the better right now. Where's my grinder? Bugger, there's more than I thought. Not much more though. All right, so we've got just little holes here, so I might even just be able to chip that back and just weld that one. That's not too bad. Unfortunately, this side, we've got this whole section here, so I'm gonna have to cut this whole thing out. And this whole bit here, you can see in there. I'm gonna have to cut that out and redo that, which kind of sucks, but what do you do? All right. You guys have seen me kill and cut out enough rust. I don't think you need to see me do it again, so I'm gonna time lapse this, we'll get it done and move on to the next thing. Okay, we're all done. So the good news is all that rust was on the hinge side of the boot. So it's all down low where you can't really see it. It's not up on the top. So yeah, that bit's, I mean, the hinge goes over that little bit I fixed, but, and here, just got that patch there. It's all sealed up. I need to do a bit of seam sealer along here, like it has from factory, but that is good enough for me. You're never gonna see any of that. So I can tick that off the list. One more 1%er done. How many percent's that now? Okay, well that looks a heap better. Hell yeah. How good's that? And if those little cheap gas struts ever fail, I can just get the same size ones. They're all universal little clip things, so just get the same ones, same size, but from a more reputable brand. But that works, and those brackets look so much better than the crappy ones they supplied. I mean, you can see the weld, but it still looks really tidy. I'm stoked on that. And they're clear with tons of room. How good? How good's that? Stoked. Okay, and that's the end of the day. So that was a full day. It was like 8:30 till 5. You can see that these little jobs take so much time, and this is why project cars take so much time. It's these little 1%ers that just add up to a full day. You know, what do we do? Like that stud, fixed a little bit of rust, made those bonnet hinges with the clips on there for the gas struts. I can't remember what I did. Oh yeah, the rear wheel arch. It's only little stuff, but it just takes up so much time. And I'm not going slow. You may think I'm going slow, but for my pace, I'm going pretty quick, so I want to get this done. So this stuff just takes time. Obviously, I've still got a bunch to do on my little 1% list. I need to take the headlight buckets out. I need to strip them down, get all the rust off, spray them, paint them. I need to sort out all the rust in the bonnet, obviously. But I'm not going to show you any of that. I'm going to do all that stuff off camera because you don't need to see all these little 1%ers. This stuff I can just smash out, and if I've got my headphones in and I'm not filming, I can get it done real quick. But hopefully this has shown you why project cars take so damn long. Thanks again for watching, guys. Remember, jump on the Nugget Project socials, so on Facebook, Insta, and sometimes TikTok, but not very often. Mainly Facebook, because I'm old. I do have t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and hoodies available. I'm thinking about doing little sticker packs because I've got some very cool stickers and stuff. So keep an eye out for that, and thanks for watching, thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.